Hey guys, welcome to my looting guide for 0.61 stable, which actually has had a number of hot fixes since it was released, which is why I waited a bit longer before I put this video together, which I usually do for every major patch. And what I'm going to be looking at is where you can find the loot, the major changes and the trends, and maybe discuss a little bit about how the looting system is going. Here we go. One of the first things to say is that houses are excellent. They were last patch, they're the same this patch. You can find guns and ammo and clothing and multiple items, multiple guns in locations. Ammo is a little bit harder to come by. It does spawn in clothes still, which is great, but you see it less lying around. You can find it in guns, attached to guns, mags and such like, but it does feel rarer to me. Maybe they've cut back on that. You can find backpacks in these buildings. The townhouses I find not as good. Warehouses are excellent. And all of this stuff, incidentally, is in unlooted buildings. These are freshly started servers. These industrial locations, obviously spawn industrial loot. They've stripped out some of the ammo which was spawning in these locations, which is a real shame. Sheds and barns and lots, they all have things like barrels and your tools that you'd find and expect to find there. And these new locations, big factories also spawning. You've got helmets in that one. But hangars, I find, there's not a lot of loot. This military location. And the lookout tower there, again, pretty much empty. Taverns, they seem to have taken loot out of these locations. Maybe there's a little bit sometimes if you're lucky. And piano houses, they're really suffered. This used to be one of the locations to come, but you can get some clothing, maybe some ammo in that clothing if you're lucky, or some food. But there's definitely, very rarely do I find any guns when I come into these locations. In fact, this piano house, 3 items of clothing I thought was pretty good, considering. Reefy still doesn't have much loot in it. It used to have guns up in the control room, but you may find a backpack or something like that, or some bits and pieces. Not a huge amount, and to go out of your way to go up to this for that amount of loot seems a bit harsh to me. Another thing they've also done is they've taken out loot from the guardhouse. Now, you can still find stuff in the office, like melee, even ammo in this room, maybe some food, and of course clothes spawning there means you may find bits in the clothes. But there used to be medical supplies here in the toilet, but that doesn't happen any longer, which is a real shame. The supermarkets are remarkably bare still. I wish they'd put more stuff in here, that would seem to make sense. And the construction sites, I find very little in these locations. Some people call these the layer cakes. They used to have ammo on ledges and stuff like that, but not anymore. Police stations are fine. You get some mags and guns. It seems to be a focus on the SMGs. You get some handguns, maybe some ammo, some magazines, and the police cars themselves can be really good, but it's a bit hit and miss, as with a lot of this stuff. Different servers seem to have different levels, although the same items spawning in the same locations. Racks, again, very police-centric weapons that you find in these locations. And then we have this building here. This is like a construction site, office area, storage area, and you get first aid stuff there. But for me, it seems like less of a range of items. More focus on bandages in that location. And if we go military and have a look at the tents, there's more tents in game. So I'm finding less loot in the tents, although still high-end stuff in these military tents. You can find, of course, magazines and guns and military clothing. Definitely worth stopping over. People head for these locations. And I'm also finding different military tents maybe spawn a slightly different range of loot. So, for example, this one in the middle of Cherno rarely spawns great stuff. Barracks, again, hit and miss. Some are really good. Some are really bad, but you still get a really good range of items in these locations. And of course that will include ammo and some of the top guns, but the top guns themselves seem to be pretty rare. And helicopter spawns are also apparently spawning less loot. So it may be a case of them spreading military loot out across the map a bit more. These guard posts were quite revelation a couple of patches ago, and they're still pretty good. Although I'm finding less chance of picking up stuff. So for here for example, it's just some gas, and that hadn't been looted. And then this one here, we have on the bench, on the desk there, 2 racks. Again, more racks, one of the most common guns in game now. We do have holsters and press vests spawning in this office building. So often I find maybe 3 or 4 holsters in these locations, maybe some press vests. Not a lot else though, very focused on that. And high places are still good. I'm finding this chimney, often pick up ammo here at this location, and you can get SKS ammo up there as well. In fact, you get SKS ammo in more locations, it would seem, as well as 45s. And then you've got these lookout towers. These ones are in Berezino. Still very good. You can find rifles, shotguns, ammo, all sorts of things up here. It's of course risky going up here, but definitely worth a look. And then you've got some other things that have stayed the same, like train carriages, really good. You get lots of different types of loot, including Mosins, and some of the high-end ammo as well I've found. Of course, clothing, food, really good. These carriages, definitely, it's one of the first places I go. You can generally get clothing, ammo, and all the sorts of things, weapons. You see some examples of it here. In fact, some of these have multiple weapons in. So, and there are particular locations they're going to be revealing in a secret loot location guide very shortly. And of course, cars have remained the same. They're really good. Clothing, backpacks, food, ammo, guns. Definitely one of the first things I check out, especially if you've got a line of cars coming up ahead of you. You can generally get yourself equipped there. And probably one of the biggest changes is we now have military containers, and you can find them in towns and cities and at military bases. You can get equipment like helmets, ammo, guns. Like here you'll see we've got a Scorpion with a magazine already on it, which is very nice to find. And then just normal containers all around the place. Some of them have the doors open, some of them don't. Does depend on the server, but here you can see we've got some clothing, which could lead to other stuff. And perhaps probably the biggest game changer on the loot front is the fact that zombies now spawn loot. So you can search their bodies and you can get all sorts of things like food, ammo. Military zombies will drop ammo, which is amazingly useful. And I kill zombies now just to loot them, especially in these sorts of zones. So there's a general trend to spreading the loot out. We've got zombies dropping, which is great. We've got these container focus, which I think is also another good thing. There's some great areas where containers can really be very useful to loot. Generally, they haven't changed it too much, but they still haven't put loot into some of the key locations like the piano house. It would be great if they could put that back in the game. But they are definitely making an attempt to spread out the military, which I think is a real positive, and I think that's something to look forward to in the future. Maybe more military loot nearer the cities. Guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, click the thumbs up. If you've got any questions, add them down below. And I've got a little video next I hope you don't mind watching and listening to. It's my Redbubble store, guys. Thanks for watching. You may not know that I have a Redbubble shop. There are a range of products I've created based on games including DayZ, The Forest, Subnautica, and Ark Survival Evolved. I don't have Twitch subs or channel sponsorship, and I receive a small token amount from my YouTube broadcaster, despite the excellent hardcore guys and girls who support my videos. Any Redbubble sales not only financially support my time and the hours that go into making my videos, but also you receive a quality product at the end of it. The link to the store is below. Even if you don't fancy buying anything, liking products in the store really helps. Thanks, guys.